Today, when you're doing business, transparency is a very common, fundamental, everyday expectation. It's a habitual thing to ask for photos. Hey, can you pull out your smartphone, capture a couple of photos, and share it with me? This is a very casual question, and you're expected to do exactly that. Because everyone has a smartphone, and photos are such a convenient and easy way to share proof of something. If you don't do that, they look at you in a suspicious way and think, hey, what is he trying to hide? All I asked was for a photo. I am Puga Shankara, founder and CEO of Smart Gladiator LoadProof. I've been to 200 plus warehouses. I've implemented so many different systems for so many different facilities, so many different verticals, so many different use cases, and so many different geographies. Also, I've done performance analysis, reviews, throughput analysis, and process improvement evaluations for many facilities. I've seen teams that work so hard. They perfectly pick the product, they perfectly pack the product, they perfectly palletize the product, impeccably stretch wrap the product, load the product, and ship the product. They do everything flawlessly. Then after a few days, they get this dreaded email with an automatic deduction due to a retailer chargeback or a fake click or a damaged click or a shortage click, or their entire load is rejected for no fault of theirs. So we have created this system to capture photos of the condition of the product you ship in seconds, upload those photos to the cloud in seconds, then retrieve them and share them with your customers and supply chain partners in seconds. So when you get that automatic direction email, you can retrieve those photos within seconds, share them, and move on. No more finger pointing and no more blinkings.
Initially, we had a lot of vendors, suppliers outside the United States that were shipping in on containers, and by the time that the product got to us, it was damaged. We were able to take that process, which was, you guys are familiar with that. I mean, that's why this I feel LoadProof works so well, is that you're able to see that there's that cumbersome process here that could get streamlined, and really that's what drew me back to it. So product would come in, it would be damaged. We could take the pictures, upload them in a matter of minutes, and then there's users throughout the company that could access those photos real high, and they don't have to come back to us and bug us for the pictures. We'll have to download them to PT, we'll have to re-upload them, we'll have to set up an attachment. All that happened behind the scenes, and it just really took our process and made it quiet. It was just a lot of fewer emails and a lot fewer discrepancies in claims and going back and forth with carriers about damage.
All that being said, we've got a key group of customers that can pose a lot of challenges just based on our agreement with their vendor compliance. And all that being said is that usually what that means in layman's terms is that they ding us for every little mistake they make. It's a revenue source, right? It's a deduction on the invoice. And so we were, for lack of better words, getting taken advantage of. We definitely had some buttoning up to do on our side. Definitely tons of opportunity to really look at our process and get better. When I'm not working on projects, I run a warehouse, and our focus is our retail customers. So these are brick and mortars and e-com businesses. And it was very apparent that we needed something. We needed something just to track and prove that we were meeting their compliance, and we just needed a way to kind of essentially fight back. And that started with just taking photos with a tablet or a phone and storing it on a shared drive. And that was a good first step for us, but we just needed a finished product, and saving a file or like a PNG file or whatever onto a shared drive was not user-friendly if we needed to go back and find that photo for some type of dispute or whatever. We just started, another coworker of mine had come across LoadProof, don't remember how he did, and we just started talking about it and started doing our due diligence and doing research, and LoadProof offered and was able to kind of check all the boxes of information we needed. And then from there, it just kind of snowballed, and we're already looking at phase 2 and phase 3, adding different customers to our program, using it in different areas of the warehouse, whether it be like a receiving thing, a double walk. Our manufacturing is going to be the next move for us, is we're going to put manufacturing on LoadProof. They had similar challenges. Once we did a little bit of research, it became very, very apparent that LoadProof was a super easy and user-friendly tool. It didn't require a lot of background work as far as shared drives and just system setups, all the challenges you have when you're implementing some type of new software. Really, this, simplest form is an app on a phone and logging on a computer, a desktop.
We've been using LoadProof for the last, really for a number of years, but we really started to use it in a large way about a year and a half ago. We made a conscious decision to use LoadProof on all inbound and outbound loads, to capture everything from what we call trailer dock and release all the way through the trailer leaving the yard, so that we had complete visibility on all product going into and out of a truck.
A couple of them, actually. So part of it, one of our bigger customers in this facility, they had been receiving a lot of discrepancies from their customers that were shipped items to. What was going on was we were shipping everything out in full. We were auditing it just on a piece of paper, but the customer was still coming back to our customer and saying that they're missing 32 cases of this and 10 cases of this. So what we started doing was we implemented LoadProof into our everyday loads, going out and also inbound. So but for our outbounds, this was the majority of the reason why we went ahead and did it was, so what we started doing was when we'd load 2 pallets, we would take a picture of the load. We'd load the next 2 pallets, take a picture, so on and so forth until the trailer's completed. That way, our customer can go back through, look at their order number, and say, okay, yeah, I see this case, this case, this case. And then once we get down to like our partial pallet picks, we call them case picks. And we take detailed pictures of those pallets. And then that way the customer can go back and say, well, no, I see the cases that are on these pallets. So they can then go back to their customers and say, hey, there really isn't a discrepancy and we can see that. And they can help mitigate some of those claims and lost revenue for them, which also in turn helps us. That was the outbound side. So then going over to the inbound side of what we do, some of our trailers actually come from overseas where they are manufactured, and they also come from domestic producers as well. What we do with the inbound side of it is if there's any quality issues, we'll take pictures of those pallets. It's great that we can just check mark that it's a quality issue. Once we finish finalizing the LoadProof, the pictures, all the information that's needed. Once we hit save, it automatically sends a email to the customer saying, okay, there was a quality issue, and they can open it up immediately and say, okay, yep, I see what's going on. They already know that we're gonna have some damages, and then they know that it's on us. It's on the vendors that are producing the product and sending it to us. So it's helped us save quite a bit of discrepancies on inventory. So it's been great on both the inbound and outbound side for that customer, as well as some of the other customers in the building. The other customers that we've got, the majority of what we do for what we use LoadProof for that one is like if we ever have any issue with understanding what an item is, our customer, we'll take pictures of those items and say, hey, what is this item, or is it this item, and respond, because that email automatically gets sent to them and respond back to us quick and in a very timely manner and say, this is the item, this is how it should be received. If it's a bag of 10, is that 1 unit or is that 10 units? So those questions we can get answered extremely quickly and with pictures. So it's been great for the multiple customers that we have in this building.
We started out implementing it, rather slow, really picked it up. We probably used LoadProof for 75% of our deliveries going out the door. It's been wonderful, actually. The customer has really enjoyed it, able to fight claims. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. It's been a great thing for us. We've really enjoyed it to be able to go in there and set up an audit for this specific customer, because you need different criteria versus this customer over here. It's been wonderful for us. Technology is really easy to use. It's nice. We have certain audits set up for truckloads, certain audits set up for LTL, certain audits set up for inbounds. And so it's been a great addition to our bound, and really helped us fight those claims to LTL carriers that damage the product in transit. And, we haven't really been able to fight that before now.
No, we're not paying the carrier fairly, but we do want to contest the damaged freight. And so we're going to receive the product, but we're going to document that there was damage and look for a claim against the damaged freight. Yeah.
One of, if not the biggest, one of the biggest pillars we have when it comes to quality, to make sure that we have that documentation and everyone ends up relying on it. That's the nice thing of it is, whether it's in our corporation or whether it's in American Standard, they can access the same file no matter where they are and see exactly what we're talking about. You and I are having our Teams call right now, normally based out of Texas, but I'm actually up in Ohio right now at this facility. It doesn't matter. This morning, I pull up the files for Texas. In 10 minutes, we had the issue resolved.
Since we have those shears to show what it looked like before we even took out a trailer, he had documentation that they arrived here damaged. That process now just got really quiet.
back and forth asking for more information. The pictures, they for themselves. I mean, this is what it looked like, and typically taking the back and forth out of the process.
Going to slow down operations and all. It doesn't at all. It improves your operation, or it certainly doesn't slow it down. So I would say that's probably the biggest thing. The fact that we could get to the root cause quickly, the fact that we could do it from wherever, and the fact that it would be easy to use at the floor. Those are probably the three biggest things that, for me, in my role, stand out for LoadProof. The fact that it's flexible enough, I can keep throwing it, if you will, at everything that comes on up. And so far, it's been able to handle it.
Personnel within the company, we're probably talking hundreds of hours of emails a month, going back through all the parties that were involved, trying to determine what happened and who's liable. It just took all that communication on our end and just stopped it. This is the documentation, this is the proof, figure it out how you want to handle it, but we're not going to pay for it. I would say at least 100 hours a month, at least, all parties involved on the Christmas side.
This quality system that we have played a part in that, being able to give them confidence that we can, one, we're going to ship good quality product out. Two, we can defend it, which means also defending them. And three, when we make a mistake, both our customer and then their customer, if they raise an issue, if we say there isn't one.
What we do now is we have one of our users that works in our corporate office, our claims department. He has access to the website. She can just see the photo. So if we document a load as damaged, she can know right away because it's real time. She'll go in there a few times a day or a few times a week and just see when we have documented damage. And all we need to do is send her an email, heads up, this was damaged. And from there, she can take it and run with it. Really doesn't even need to come back for us for anything because there's timestamps on everything. When it came in, there's documentation with the pictures of the bill of lading number and everything that was associated with it. And then ultimately the pictures of the product. At that point, once we send her that email, it's really out of our hands, which is great because we're not going back and trying to find whose camera was on and downloading pictures and that whole process that just took so much time and was so cumbersome. We don't have to do that anymore.
But some other time we do say, yeah, that one's on us. The first perception when we came up to this facility here back in January was, oh, this was going to slow things down dramatically. They had never used this. Suddenly they're all complaining that I need to be a photographer. You know what they found very quickly is, number one, it doesn't slow things down. Number two, if you're the person on the floor, you're the loader, there is no better way to cover your own rear end than LoadProof, because they know if they take these photos, we're not coming back and yelling at them for having done something wrong. The prior company that was here had that kind of culture where they would yell at them. So it took probably about a week culture-wise of people getting used to that, or this isn't that slow and this isn't that bad. And then we were fortunate, if you will, this is going to sound kind of odd. After being here about 3 weeks, we had a customer, one of the end customers from American Standard, who felt that there had been a misshipment. It took 12 minutes. We were able to show that, no, it was in the truck. It took 12 minutes. General manager, who was brand new here, it was the first time he had seen that. The general manager for American Standard, who was here, was like, okay, we're done. Customer was happy. We go out on the floor, tell everybody, and at that point on, we have never had any issue. Poor loader who thought he was going to get yelled at, and instead everybody's coming over congratulating him. One thing they were looking for, there it was. Okay, so that's what we've seen. I'm building our building, and up here, technically, it's very simple. Use-wise, or usability is very simple. And that is just that initial perception. But boy, once they see it, as either themselves or a friend or a coworker.
A lot of growth that needed to happen, a lot of change that needed to take place. The Morgantown operation where I'm at, it was viewed as highly efficient. Well, to say it nicely, there was a lot of views about the operation where it needed to tighten up and tighten. Right? Everything that we did on our end when I first got here was reactive. It was reactive. We were always reacting, always telling people there was a problem, or trying to justify or explain why something happened. With LoadProof, it was kind of more of the offense, real data to support what we've been saying all along. So now it's not just excuses. These are legitimate actions need to be considered when you're looking at the deficiencies in an operation, right? So really, for me, it gave us credibility to our operation. Once we, from a process side of it, once we tightened up our processes and those were buttoned up, and now we have the documentation from LoadProof to help showed this processes are working. It allowed my operation to kind of change the perception outside the walls of being an operation that had trouble. Now we're an operation that, we're the biggest operation that Crippen has. They come to me for for answers now, instead of me going to them all the time. So it really allowed me to go on the offense instead of all the time just trying to figure out what happened.
So, if you want to be more strategic about capturing photo and video proofing your facility, click the link below and set up a demo. And this is a promise I make to everyone that comes to us. We don't want to sell you something you don't need. The last thing I want is we meet in a conference and you cursing at me saying, "Oh my God, this guy sold me something that I did not need. I never want to see this guy ever again." You won't believe how small this industry is. And when I visit trade shows today, I still see people that I'd worked with 25 years ago. So I don't want that. That's why we offer a free trial. It's a 2-week free trial, and our goal is to get you the savings during that free trial itself. We have done that for many of our customers. Many of them come back and tell us, "Hey, we saved $10,000 already during the free trial." Then it's a no-brainer from there on. So book a demo by clicking this link below.